When a spouse is abandoned, the individual is permitted to declare a new faithful union under God.
Writes, a court interpreter of the Regional Trial Court of Dumaguete City, is accused of gross immorality for cohabiting with a married man. Faith should never excuse corruption.
Ipatangtang na siya!
Immoral!
Should faith justify breaking ethical codes?
Is this about morality or religious persecution?
Huh? You're asking me to fight morality with faith?
No, Attorney Eme. Ang akong gihangyo is to fight injustice with the law.
Kabalo man ka how this would look, right? Ang court isn't just deciding about your case. It's deciding kung ang imong faith can excuse immorality.
But this is not about immorality. About this akong right under the law. And besides, why would this be illegal nga? This is allowed in the first place in my religion. Mudaog ta sa kaso through this.
All right, let's build your defense.
Your Honor, this case is about accountability. Bilyana writes, a court interpreter, an officer of the judiciary, has openly defied the ethical standards of her position by living with a man who is legally married to someone else. Under the revised administrative code, the rules prohibit disgraceful and immoral conduct. How much clearer can it be? Cohabitation with a married person, regardless of religious justifications, falls under this provision.
Your Honor, this case is not about morality. It is about the fundamental right to religious freedom enshrined in Article 3, Section 5 of our Constitution. Moreover, the declaration of pledging faithfulness issued by her religious congregation is a recognized spiritual contract. My client is not guilty of immorality because in the eyes of her faith, she is already bound in a moral union.
So, Ms. Wrights, do you acknowledge that your partner is legally married to someone else?
Yes, but in my faith, that marriage was abandoned, and our union was sanctified by our congregation.
So you believe that religious law supersedes civil law?
Objection! The Constitution itself guarantees the free exercise of religion. The question assumes the superiority of civil law over constitutional protections.
Sustained, counsel. Next question.
No more questions, Your Honor. Your Honor, the judiciary is held to a higher standard. The rules are clear. She violated them.
Your Honor, the question before this court is not whether Ms. Wright's actions conform to mainstream morality. The question is whether the state has the right to penalize someone for following the doctrines of their faith. To rule against Ms. Wright is to set a precedent that religious freedom are conditional, that faith is only protected when it aligns with the government standard. That is not what the Constitution intended. Faith is not on trial. Devotion is not a crime. After careful deliberations, this court rules that the case is not solely about moral transgressions, but about the respondent's constitutional right to religious freedom. So accordingly, the court finds Biliana Rights not guilty of any offense warranting dismissal or disciplinary action. Case dismissed.
Miss Rights, how does it feel? How does it feel? How does it feel? How does it feel? Miss Rights, Miss Rights. Good morning and welcome to a very special edition of A Talks with your host, Miss Adrenaline. We are joined by a woman who has become one of the most talked about figures in the nation. To some, she is a martyr. To others, a symbol of defiance. But one thing is undeniable. Her case has changed the conversation about faith, morality, and the law forever. Please welcome Biliana Rights. Thank you for being here today. Well, your case wasn't just about morality, it was about the law. Some argue that the court blurred the line between religious freedom and ethical responsibility, that your faith became a legal shield. What do you say to that?
The law exists to protect, not to punish those who believe differently. And so, if we deny a person's right to follow their faith, then what kind of justice system do we truly have?
And at the center of all this was love. You fought not just for your right, but for your relationship. What does it mean to fight for love when the world tells you it's wrong?
We'll get through this.
I knew what I was risking. My career, my reputation, and everything that I had built. But tell me, what is love if not something worth fighting for?
So, Biliana, when you walked out that courtroom victorious, what was the first thing you thought?
The law follows where faith leads.
To victory.
To my act.
Artistahin, Jude. All for the social media. But hey, you never told me when you secured that declaration of pledging faithfulness.
Does it matter?